What's up, everybody? I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com, host of the Sports Card Strategy Show. Welcome to Lefty Cards right here on the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network, discussing the latest trends, best practices, and insider tips on sports card investing. This episode is brought to you by NoOffSeason.com, the number one place to make money flipping sports cards. Get a free 30-day trial today at NoOffSeason.com. And now, everybody, it's time for Lefty Cards.
Hello, Sports Cards. That is so good to see your face in Turner, part of NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network. This is Lefty Cards, and you've got 45 minutes worth of fun and action and packed with many things, one of which being a celebration of Tommy DeVito taking over as the starter of the New York Giants. Daniel Jones going to the bench, yet another backup quarterback that has supplanted his predecessor into the starting lineup. And I know, because we've seen this previously, Tommy DeVito comes with a plethora of a cult following. He is going to go bananas if he does anything relevant. And his first game, I think, his second game will be against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. Turner, tell me you cannot be more excited for a Tommy DeVito matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, who, might I add, also are on their backup quarterback as Dak Prescott just hits the IL. We will see Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito on Thanksgiving Day. Thank you, America. That's the matchup you wanted to see, isn't it?
Yeah, I did not have that on my bingo card. I'll tell you that much.
Well, if you did, my friend, and I don't know what the betting odds for that would have been, but if Tommy DeVito versus Cooper Rush on Thanksgiving Day was on your betting card, I'm pretty sure you would be a quazillionaire right now. This is going to be
a lot of turkey.
It's just going to be a messy game. It's going to be absolutely gross to watch. My prediction is we're going to see two running backs go absolutely nuts and at least 3 interceptions, at least by the both of them. No, wait, not 6 interceptions, 3 combined interceptions.
Yeah.
I'm going to say at least 2 defensive touchdowns.
You want to make a bet on that? On DraftKings? No, I'm not trying to bet on it.
Oh,
because I could see that happening. I just didn't know if there would be a line that you could do with that, because I bet the odds of that are probably a lot better than normal.
Probably a lot better than they typically are. But right. I also have seen today, as I was looking up things like research for this pod about Cooper Rush and all this kind of stuff. As of 3 hours ago, Turner, the Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy has sold his mansion in Dallas. Do you think there's writing on the wall, as we have talked about Shedeur in Dallas potentially mirroring also being a Deion Sanders reunion with the Dallas Cowboys as the head coach? What do you think?
Dallas has been a crap show all year, and I'm pretty sure it's Mike McCarthy, right? That's his name.
Yep.
McCarthy has been to blame for a lot of it. You can see like Micah Parsons, talk about how he wants to win for his teammates and not someone like Mike. He literally said that on an interview and got fined for it.
That's terrible.
So, yeah, that's terrible. But yeah, you could see the writing on the wall since like they started losing a lot more. And yeah, I mean, he's gonna let the door kick him on the way out. That's for sure.
So I'm looking at a mock draft right now, and it currently has the Cowboys picking 11th, which is not going to happen. They have them picking before or after the Miami Dolphins. That's just not going to happen. The Dolphins will finish with a better record. The Panthers.
I don't know. The Dolphins are 2-7.
Well, what are the Cowboys at right now?
I'm pretty sure the Cowboys have like 3 or 4 wins. I can look.
You don't think that? I don't know if the Cowboys win another game.
Yeah, well, let me double check here. Okay, so the Cowboys are 3-6, and they play
that?
They play the Texans, Commanders, Giants. They may beat the Giants on Thanksgiving. That's a toss-up. They could somehow beat the Panthers because the Panthers, are the Panthers.
Yeah.
But
Well, this is who they have
anyway.
right now. They have them at 11. Ahead of them is the Jacksonville Jaguars, number 1, which is fine. They are terrible. The New York Giants at number 2, which I don't know. I kind of think that the Giants are going to be.
Oh, excuse me. The Dolphins have won 3 games.
So they're tied right now. How many of the
4.
Tennessee Titans won?
2.
Okay, so the Titans are ahead of them. The Browns are ahead of them. The Raiders are ahead of them. New England's ahead of them. They've looked better than the Cowboys. New Orleans is ahead of them. They've also looked better than the Cowboys. The Jets are ahead of them. They are trash. Carolina Panthers, and then the Dolphins. I just don't think that. I think the Cowboys will end up being at least 3 spots ahead of them. Could be at number 5. Does Shador end up falling to number 5? This guy has them going number 2 overall to the New York Giants. I actually want to throw out an opinion here that I know we've talked a lot about Shador going to the Cowboys and Dion going to the Cowboys as well. I think they could both end up going to New York, but for the New York Jets. I think the New York Jets are going to move on from Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to move on or they already fired Salas earlier this year. Can you imagine New York Jets fandom with Deion Sanders as their coach, and then there's and Shador as their quarterback? I don't think anybody's talking about that, but I think that the Jets could potentially have a higher draft pick than the Cowboys. And I think at this point, Jerry Jones isn't really looking for gimmicky things, and I think the Jets would be more prone to do that. So a potentially off the board first could be Travis Hunter, and then let's say the draft pick goes to the Raiders third, and they pick, I don't know, Jalen Milroe or Quinn Ewers or somebody like that. Next off the board could be Shador Sanders to good old Daddy Warbucks New York Jets. And then while they're at it, they might as well sell him to Gary V.
I was about to say Gary V is going to definitely have a field day with that one if that happens.
Well, another interesting thing that's happened in the sports world in America is the MLS transfer record has just been broken as of about 16 minutes ago. Apparently, MLS Moves on Twitter has announced that Kevin Dinky of Club Bruges has now signed a $17 million transfer fee with add-ons and sell-on clauses and about $3 million of an annual fee to Kevin Dinky that's going to FC Cincinnati. Yes, my team, Turner, has just broken the MLS transfer record, and that's why it's making it on Lefty Cards, because this is, in fact, Lefty Cards, and we needed to mention that. I'll leave that there for time because we also need to go over an audience question today, and this is a question that came in from one of our audience members, and just for the sake of the conversation, I'll leave it at that. Just for posterity's sake, is the audience question messaged me earlier, and he goes, "Hey man, are you buying the Juju cards?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And apparently, he's talking about the Juju cards that came out on Panini Instant, I believe. Or no, I'm sorry. Was it
Topps
Topps now? Yeah, Topps now. And he goes, "They're only $5 each if you buy 20 of them. Cheap for a USC card in uniform." And I said, "No, man, that's just not for me." And he goes, "Respect. Just feel like based on what she will do in the season, people will want her stuff. She's got 3 years left in college no matter what. Plenty of future opportunities to sell." And I said, "Yeah, I think for her runway, it's too long for me to get into right now." And he said, "I'd rather have the long runway. That's why I always say cards isn't cut and dry." And I said, "I'm okay with long runway on big cards, but not for $5 cards." And he says, "It is what you make of it, because $5 then you send to grading and the first to the market, aka something you're doing with the Cooper flag. Similarly, it might be a quick play, no different than a Cooper flag card." And this is where the question that I want you to ask, or that I want to ask you. Do you see the Juju card in a different light than the Cooper flag card that we bought the first night of the season?
Yes, because Juju already has cards. Cooper Flag did not, and this is why it was such a big deal whenever all of us got these Cooper Flag cards. It's because this is Cooper Flag's first card ever. There's no Panini Prism throwback like Arch. There's no Bowman U Chrome now. This was his first card. Juju's got Bowman Chrome cards already, and even like someone like me is taking advantage of that. And I got some graded that we got recently. And so that's why I think like the thing with Cooper Flag was such a big deal. But also, if I were to do something with this Tops Now, like Bowman U Now play, it would be to possibly get them graded now and try to sell them in March, not hold until she gets drafted.
Yeah, I think so. He talks about being first in the market, but he also talks about sell markers being down the road too. Maybe he's talking about the sell marker could be another one in March. He wasn't super clear on that, but at the same time, I disagreed with him pretty heartily because I said I don't think these are the same, other than they are both instant cards.
Right.
The reason, and I talked about some of the things that you have said, but another thing I said is I think it's a completely different market. A Cooper Flag market and a Juju card are not the same buyer, in my opinion.
Right.
And also Cooper Flag's runway is much shorter. I think we will see him in top flight basketball in less than a year. He will play in the summer league on his team, whoever that's drafted to this year, or within a calendar year. And so, in my opinion, I don't want to potentially hold a Juju card until she gets, a $5 Juju card until she gets there, because by that time, there will be so many more cards that come out of hers, and you'll have Juju autos, you'll have all these other things, and a Juju first to the line UFC or USC card is maybe not as relevant. So, anyway, that's where we were with that. And I wanted to say it to you because I wanted to check myself, essentially. I'm not trying to put this guy on blast. I'm not trying to do any of that. That's why I left his name out of it and things. But he's a loyal listener of our show, a big part of our network. And we just disagreed. And eventually he goes on to say, we disagree on this matter. That's what makes the hobby great. And then I asked him, is it okay if me and Turner ask or talk about this tonight on Lefty Cards? And he said, not at all. And he then goes on about saying Cooper hasn't looked good early in the season. They lost to Kentucky and things like that. And I just I don't disagree with that. I just think the market
still had like 25.
Yeah, and he also looked very good for a 17-year-old.
He looked good for the 39.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then had the
The
turnovers.
last two plays looked piss poor, but I'll take that from a guy who's 17 years old for his first college game ever to be against the University of Kentucky. I mean, that's a playoff match. That's a playoff matchup, really.
Yeah.
That I'll be interested to see. Does Duke play in like the Maui Invitational or anything this year?
I'd have to look that up.
The reason why I'm asking that is because I think we'll see in ACC play. We'll see in maybe the Maui Invitational or whatever invitational that Duke plays in this next couple of months. But we'll see him have more pressure games ahead of him. And this is the first pressure experience he's had. I'm sure that Singler is probably not mad at having him have some pressure experiences early on in his.
John Shire.
Yeah, sorry. Shire will have Singler's another whole issue, but
yeah, I was about to say he's going crazy right now.
He went off the rails a little bit. Shire is. Thanks for correcting me.
Got you.
I think he's going to enjoy Cooper getting this kind of experience. But anyway, regardless, I think the Cooper Flag the Cooper Flag Tops Now plays is different categorically than Juju for a lot of reasons. You mentioned the cars that they have out. I mentioned the market. The runway. We're talking about two different markets. I think the similarities are they're both in college basketball, and they both have cards that are made instantly. That might be the extent of it. That might be the only similarity in my mind. So just wanted to see kind of where you were at, and just for the audience's sake, I asked him. I told him that we were going to ask an audience question, but I didn't tell him what the question was because I wanted his raw opinion.
Right.
So anyway, always appreciate the dialogue. Always appreciate the questions. And Juju is undefeated and is scoring way more points per game, which is explainable. She is the Caitlin Clark of her team. But like we said a couple of weeks ago on the Wednesday show, she's not Caitlin Clark.
Mhm.
And I don't know if she will have the same kind of hype that Caitlin Clark had. She doesn't seem to have the same kind of PR that Caitlin had. So, okay, so let's talk about the Rookie of the Years tonight. Both of them were announced in baseball tonight. We got Heel, Gil, from, I want to say Carlos Heel, but that is a MLS player. We got Heel from the Yankees. His first name is Luis Heel from the Yankees. And then we also have Paul Skeens from Pittsburgh. So Paul Skeens tonight has his party or whatever, and it's him and Livy Dune sitting on the couch, and she is thrilled, and he just basically goes like this. And she's like clapping like, "Oh, Paul, is this great?" And he's just like, "Yeah." I mean, it looked like he's like, "This is nothing for me." And I wonder if he has some insight on how he is doing in not only the Cy Young poll, but how he's potentially doing in some of the other polls. If he gets MVP votes, I'm not saying he's going to win because Shohei's going to run away with it. But if he gets MVP votes, that could be really well for his marketing going forward. If you say first year in the MLB, he got some MVP votes, that's enough, I think, in the tank for his value to even go even higher than it was, which is why previously I have picked Paul Skeens as a guy that we're going to invest in long term, because I think his market is going to continue to go up. And we've seen the Pirates continue to add around him. And I think that the better and better that he gets, the more this team is going to end up looking like a playoff team. And then the more that we're going to see him in October baseball, which is going to be good for cards. And so Luis Hill, not an investable pitcher. I've had a bunch of Hill cards, and I don't sell any of them. Paul Skeens, very investable pitcher. And I think we will continue to have investable pitchers going forward. And I look for Kumar Rocker to be the next big one next year. And there probably will be some more after that. And I think the market could potentially turn into us having investable pitchers. And speaking of investable players, the one-of-one debut patch cards that look so freaking awesome. Ellie De La Cruz's was pulled by a breaker this morning, and it was not Backyard Breakers. Just so we have shocker on that one, but
Shocker.
it was pulled from a random guy, and he was really cool about it. And of course, he's gonna get it out to the right guy. And you never like when it's like, "Oh my god," and then they shut the screen off, and it's
Right.
like, "Oh, that card is going on the black market," So, but anyway. All that to say, got some comments here. Joel says no USC Juju cards in uniform. Joel also says, but he's also has cramping issues, right? And Mad Cards goes, who is our next Roki? I believe Roki is our next Roki, because he will come out in the next couple of days or in the next couple of weeks. I actually think we still have an opportunity to do a raw to grade flip on Roki. I haven't done the numbers on that, but I believe if we looked at the MPB Chrome cards of Roki, that Ivan, do you happen to know how much the Roki Chrome cards are going for right now? About $45. So a raw to grade there would be a $21 on top of that. So, $66. That's not bad. I believe that card's going to sell for over $100. So that could be a good raw to grade flip. And then Terry Anderson says, happy Monday. We love you, Terry. Thanks for being here. All right, Turner. You've got basketball practice later today, so you're going to have to jump, I know, at some point. So we wanted to talk about the NBA in-season tournament. Can you give us a quick upgrade on that?
Yeah. So I've got the standings here. I'll go first from the Western Conference. So the biggest surprises so far, I know they've only played a couple games each, but the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors are the two teams that are surprising me so far. The Rockets have just been hooping in general. I'm pretty sure they're like 10-4, which I don't know about you, but I did not see that coming.
No, I mean, I thought they were a dark horse to play well, but not like that.
Yeah, and the Golden State Warriors are like the number one team in the West right now. which that was another one that I don't know about you, but I did not see that happening.
Steph is balling.
And total points, the Warriors have the most points in the Cup standing so far, at least in the West, with 243. And compared to the closest with the Timberwolves, who are 1-1 in their standings with 223. So they're just blowing everybody out of the water so far. You've got the Rockets with one win, the Trailblazers and the Timberwolves with 1 win, and then Lakers, Thunder, and Suns with 1 win, Warriors with 2 wins, and the Pelicans with 1 win. So then we go to the East. You've got the Magic with the differential of plus 37 with their 2-0 start, without Paulo Banchero, mind you, which
That's impressive.
that is a surprise. Then you've got the Knicks who are 2-0 as well with a plus 14 differential. Same amount of points. Oh, sorry. They have 235 points total, and that's the most. The Pistons 2-0, top of their division. Did not see that coming. The Heat, who we both projected in that one, are 1-1 with a differential of plus 13. And then East C, you've got the Hawks at 2-0, and the Cavs, who are undefeated with 1-0 in there. But who we were surprised at is the Celtics losing first game against the Hawks. So a lot of the teams have only played 1 to 2 games, but it's a surprise with some of the kind of lower level teams that we predicted weren't going to do very hot are off to a good start. Like we said, the Magic, the Pistons, of course the Hawks too in there, and even the Golden State Warriors. So yeah, a lot of surprises so far, but there's still a lot of basketball left.
Yeah, I think. Is there any players that have surprised you that have grown their market share in this tournament so far?
I know they've played one game in the Cup, but De'Aaron Fox has been on a tear lately. He had 60 and then followed it up with 49. So scoring 109 points in 2 games is ridiculous. Let me see here. It was crazy to see that the Thunder played without a center and won. So got
What do you mean without a center? J-Dub was a very capable center.
My bad.
Yeah, it was very, very strange.
But yeah, let me see here if there are any others that surprise me. Let me go here.
Who on that Magic team is scoring the ball?
Franz Wagner.
Franz Wagner, man.
He's been.
I really thought his older brother was going to be a dominant force, but
yeah, because he was good in Michigan.
Yeah, and then his brother just decided to show him up. So
yeah, but last one that I'll probably say with that before I have to go is Karl Anthony Towns is finding his own with the Knicks.
That's good.
He's adjusting well to the Knicks system with Tibbs, and the Knicks are looking like they should be, and everyone thought they would be.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Appreciate you being on, Turner.
Of course.
We will be rooting for you. Where is y'all's season at? What's your record so far?
Right now we're 1-3. We're off to a slow start, but we played some tough matchups. We have two more home games this week. But yeah, so hopefully we can get back to 500 record.
Awesome. Yeah, I know your dad likes to front load that schedule, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right, brother. I'll see you soon, and we're going to go through the gauntlet next after this commercial break, and then we will see you later.
See y'all.
What's up, everyone? I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com. Why should you subscribe to NoOffSeason.com's premium membership? Do you like the content on this show? Want more? Well, a free 30-day trial membership at NoOffSeason.com gives you a Friday edition of the Sports Card Strategy Show called The Overflow Show. It's a premium podcast for members only every Friday, and you can ask an unlimited amount of questions to build your sports card investment portfolio, and I answer them for you. I put in the work, research, and do the analysis, give you the best possible answer so you can increase your chances of making money flipping sports cards. And if that's not enough reason to sign up for a free 30-day trial today, you get Sports Card School, tons of premium members-only articles, and our new formula-based sports card rankings to help you find the cards with the best ROI to make money in the hobby. Sign up today at NoOffSeason.com.
All right, for the next 20 minutes, you've got Lefty, McKee, Solo, Dolo, and we are going to go through Turner time in a little bit of a unique fashion. We're going to go through the gauntlet like he prepared for us. We're going to do it a little bit differently this time. We had a meeting the other day that Paul brought up how we used to do it, and I was reminded. I was like, oh, yeah, I like the way that we used to do that. And so we're going to bring it back up where the first two matchups, then not only we don't just go to a next matchup like we have been doing over the last couple of weeks. We go over the first matchup winner will go against the third card. The winner of that will go against the fourth card. Winner of that will go against the fifth card. And then we'll go all the way out. So I will be honest with you. The cards get much more valuable down the road in this gauntlet. And so we'll have to adjust the count of some of these. But I wanted to just give a shout out to Turner for putting together another good gauntlet. And we're going to jump right into it here. Our first matchup of the day is a 2021 Prism Silver. Both of these cards are actually 2021 Prism Silvers. And we've got Jalen Green of the Houston Rockets and then Cade Cunningham of the Detroit Pistons. The price difference is fairly even. And what I mean by that is it's about within $100. And over the last 90 days, several of them have flipped prices. Just a couple of weeks ago on 11/4, so November 4th, about 12 days ago, there was a Cade Cunningham that sold for $210 and then a Jalen Green that sold for $255. So the last sales, even though the last sales were at $169 and $285, which is over $100 differential, these cards have flipped as of less than 2 weeks ago. And then 90 days ago, these cards were at about $10, $15 from each other. So it is comparable, although that Jalen Green cards look worse right now than Cade Cunningham's. But that's obviously because Detroit's been playing pretty good basketball, although the Houston Rockets have been playing good too, as we've just heard Turner talk about them being 10-2. We like what they have going forward, and Jalen Green is definitely a good ball player out there. So if we look at where Jalen Green has been, his story has been kind of wild. And currently he's on that Rockets team. But the last couple of games for him has been pretty impressive. He's come out with 18 points, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 assists. Although in November 15th and 17th, which was the last 2 to 3 days, he had worse lines than before. His regular season numbers right now, he's averaging almost 20 points a game, averaging almost 40% from the field. And then he's averaging 5 and 3. Pretty good numbers for a guy. That's where he's at. And if we look at that against Cade Cunningham with the Detroit Pistons, we see that Cade Cunningham is at 20 points a game, 43%. So a couple percentage different. We see him having 23 points a game or 20 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. So overall, Cade Cunningham is having the better year, but I'm just not sure about this Detroit Pistons team right now. Currently, they're tied 20-20 with the Bulls tonight, and I think that's just kind of where they're at. Although still, I'm going to go ahead and take Cade Cunningham in this one because I do like what they have a little bit better than Jalen Green's bag. I think I would rather have Cade Cunningham, and I just like where he's come from a little bit more. I like the stability of his game a little bit more, and I think long-term he could be the better player in the end than Jalen Green. So give me Cade Cunningham versus the next matchup. So the next matchup is Saquon Barkley, 2018 PSA 10. And this card comes in at around $185. Over the last 90 days, we've seen some similarities from this, but it's definitely quite the differential. It's about $100 difference. So we're going to say Saquon Barkley and $100 for with a PSA 10 hollow, or a Cade Cunningham silver. So that's going to be the matchup for the second gauntlet. We're going to say a Saquon Barkley and a Chris Benjamin versus Cade Cunningham PSA 10. The pop count is about half as much as the Cade Cunningham 2021, the 2018 Optic. And I think the key differentiator here is we see is Saquon Barkley is a position player. I'm still just not convinced that a position player, even though Saquon has played very good. And if you look at his market share over the last 30 days, it's been a lot better than it's been previously. And his market is actually up over the last 30 days. His market is up 58.1%, as in December or in October, this card was selling for 117, and now it's selling for 190. So this card does having an uptrend, and with him being on the Philadelphia Eagles, they're probably going to make the playoffs. And he's going to be a playoff scorer, I bet. And he just looks stronger and stronger as the year's going on. But I'm still just going to take Cade Cunningham in this because a Prism Silver NBA starter versus a 2018 PSA 10 hollow of a running back. I'm just not convinced that running back plus $100 is going to go anywhere for me. So I'm going to take the Cade Cunningham over the Saquon. So Cade Cunningham goes to the next round, which is against another position player running back. And this one is, in fact, closer. Over the last 90 days, it's been pretty intermingled. But as of the last couple of days, the last sale of a Derrick Henry was $180, and the one before that was $213. So we'll go $213. Derrick Henry Prism Silver 2016 pop count 377, almost the exact pop count as Cade Cunningham. I like what Cade Cunningham has put together here, but you don't have the extra $100. So I have to think here, does Saquon Barkley have $100 worth more than Derrick Henry in his bag? And I don't think he does. But the interesting thing is here, I think the Ravens are going to go deep in the playoffs. Side note here, I did have my Lamar Jackson this week sell for $600 when I bought it at the National for $380. It sold for $600 today, this week. So I'm pretty excited about almost making a double flip on a purchase from a quarterback card that I made in July, and so that's a good flip. And I think that we're also going to see Derrick Henry ride that same line. If we look over the last 90 days for this card in general, it is about $40 higher than where it was. And the peak of it has sold at $281, and the most recent one sold for $180. So we've already seen how this card in the past month have sold for almost $300, which would really put it exactly the 81 versus 85. That would be 89% up from where it was 90 days ago. I could see Derrick Henry's cards going a lot higher than that. Plus, the pop count is nice. I still don't think it's enough to convince me that it's better than a Cade Cunningham silver. But this one, honestly, is closer than the Saquon Barkley, in my opinion, because I think that the Ravens get further in the playoffs. And when you talk further in the playoffs, you talk more eyeballs. And when you talk more eyeballs, you see more views. And when you see more views, that means more money, in my opinion. So I'm going to have Cade Cunningham still go to the next level. And we're going to jump into our next commercial break before we go to the next gauntlet.
Kendall, are these people ready to start grading their sports cards? CGC Cards is the perfect place to slab your favorite sports cards. From their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing, CGC Cards is the perfect stop for your grading needs. Go to cgccards.com to start grading today.
All right, this is where it's going to get interesting because we're going into some different sports now. So the last four cards here are all non-basketball playing cards and non-football related. So it's going to be guys that we could potentially see that are in down seasons right now, which is when you want to be buying. And so we've talked about some of these guys before. So the next one is Cade Cunningham, still a $285 card in his Prism Silver right now, going up against a $162 Drew Jones PSA 10 base auto. So this one is a lot more interesting to me because you have a guy that we've obviously talked about has a very big market share. We know that people know who Drew Jones is. He was very high up in the draft. He was very, he's Andrew Jones' son. We talk about it being this card has sold for a lot of money previously. So, this card has sold for $390 as a raw or as a PSA of a base auto. So this card has sold for a lot of money previously. And I think it could potentially rise higher than $162. But let's do $162 Drew Jones auto versus a Cade Cunningham. I think I'm taking the Drew Jones here. Not because I don't believe in Cade Cunningham, because I think Cade Cunningham could be a quick flip because of his in-season tournament run, if they ended up making it into the next round. But I think Drew Jones is going to be a guy that is eventually going to be a good sell, and he does come from that 2023 class of guys that we talk about potentially being good buys when they're a couple of years back. And I think that is what we're looking for as we approach this December month. And if you're going to give me $100 extra on top of that, give me Drew Jones and $100 that goes up against Cade Cunningham. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Drew Jones right here. And the next matchup here is Drew Jones, 2023 Bowman Chrome prospect auto versus a 2023 Bowman draft Max Clark. And so this one is really hard for me because technically Drew Jones was in the 2022 class and they pulled him out into the Bowman baseball edition. So this is almost 2 years removed from Drew Jones, but this is literally 12 months removed from Max Clark being out here. And we have a $375 price tag on a Max Clark and a $162 price tag on a Drew Jones. So you need to have not only is it Drew Jones plus $100, you're having two Drew Jones here, essentially plus $100 almost versus a Max Clark card. And for me, it's not even close because Max Clark will beat him all day long when it comes to talent. I know that their names are comparable, but when you look at Drew Jones' stats, and I've said this a lot, I've said this from the very beginning of card time when we looked at what we were talking about with Drew Jones, is he's still 20 years old and he hasn't even risen above A ball. And his A ball numbers, he's only 25% better than the average player, which if you're drafted like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 overall, you need to be head and shoulders better than most people. And I know he came in young, but he did not excel at the complex level. He actually really struggled in complex level in 2023. And then in 2024, he's come back and played his best baseball, but he's only at a 275. So I would be interested to know. I mean, he's still at a 30% K percentage. He walks a good bit, but his isolated power is doing a little bit better. We've seen an okay season by him, but he'll have to see what it looks like going forward. What we have not seen an okay season from is Max Clark. Max Clark has played very good baseball. And Max Clark is younger than him and is already up at high A and has the same numbers, if not better, in a lot of areas than Drew Jones. So yes, he does not have the market, but he was drafted higher, and I think he's on a team that can accelerate him a little faster. So rather than two Drew Jones and $100, give me one Max Clark card. I think Max Clark's value over the next couple of months will be very, very good. We're going to jump into our last market or our last sponsor before we jump into our last two segments of the day. And then we will compare Max Clark versus another baseball player going forward.
Yo, Lefty, we use a lot of data, don't we? Well, I just want everyone to know that they can get the same data we get by signing up at marketmoversapp.com. Sign up at marketmoversapp.com today, but use the promo code NOOFFSEASON to save 20% after a free 14-day trial. That's marketmoversapp.com, promo code NOOFFSEASON.
All right, so the next matchup we're going to do is we're going to have Max Clark against a Bobby Witt Jr. Auto. So this is going for $1.26 thousand. I recently sold mine for around that, so I know that's where that's selling from. In the last 90 days, we've seen a couple of Bobby Witt Jr.'s sell for pretty good money. 1.26 was the last sale, but also the last sale of this Max Clark card is $375. So we're going to go ahead and say that's $400, and we're going to go ahead and say that $1,300 is where the Bobby Witt Jr. is. So it's like three Max Clarks and $100 essentially that's going to make a Bobby Witt Jr. So would you rather have a gauntlet, a Bobby Witt Jr. Bowman Chrome auto right now, or a Max Clark auto PSA 10? Both of these are in PSA 10. A Max Clark, 3 of them PSA 10s and $100. This is extremely hard for me. Because you guys know I love Bobby Witt Jr. And you know I love this Bobby Witt Jr. Chrome Auto because I bought one at the National and then resold it recently because I was able to get up on it and I made about a 10% profit on it. this card is something I really like. And Bobby Witt Jr. is a long-term guy. I really like him too. And I said last January that if you were to buy Bobby Witt Jr. Auto in December and sell it every April over the last 4 or 5 years, you would have made a ton of money every single time. So I still think this is a good buy for next April to be selling a Bobby Witt Jr. Auto. But I also think Max Clark is an extremely good buy right now. And so I'm actually more interested in the margins of a 3x return on a Max Clark potential between now and April than I am on Bobby Witt Jr.'s. I think Max Clark is going to go up pretty significantly. And if we look at the last 365 days, let's find March-ish. March, Max Clark sold. I know the card had just come out, but it sold for $475, $500. And it also sold for $500 in August as well. So we've seen that $500 value be pretty good for him. And if you have 3 of them that you're buying at $400, so you're able to make 100 on them each, and you're able to return basically a fourth Max Clark back to you in terms of profit. I really like that. And so I'm going to I know this is crazy, but I'm going to take 3 Max Clark cards and $100 against a Bobby Witt Jr. auto. And I think that just goes down to the X factor that 2 extra Bowman Chrome autos can favor you. So the last gauntlet of the night is against a crazy card. And I want to pull that up here. I accidentally just pulled Max Clark off of the gauntlet. So give me just a second to get him back on here. But we're going to go a Max Clark auto, just like we just did against Bobby Witt Jr., against a Lamine Yamal Kaboom. This is a crazy matchup. This was going to be the final matchup between Bobby Witt Jr. You were going to have 3 Bobby Witt Jr. Bowman Chrome autos against a Lamine Yamal Donruss Kaboom. But I think this Donruss Kaboom could go crazy over time. And at one point, it has sold for $9,000, and it is actually at 4.98K right now, which is almost the floor of where this card has been. It's been at 4.8 a couple of times, but it currently, the last sold is at 4.9K, which is crazy that a $5,000 card, when you have such a low pop count like it's at right now, that's just very, very cool to see. When you see there is some that are available on eBay right now for 5.9K, 7.3K, 7.5K, 8K, 12K, 14K. So there's a lot of kabooms out there that I really like. And potentially this could be a pretty good raw to grade play. But so we're essentially going to do 375, we're going to call that 400, and we're going to call it 5K. So you're getting 13 autos of Max Clark when the pop count is only at 63, which is scary. I don't even know if that's a good comparison versus a Lamine Yamal Kaboom. I think rationally I need to pick Max Clark, but this Lamine Yamal Kaboom could be a card that is the card going forward. I could see this card easily selling for 10, 15K someday, especially if Spain goes on and wins the World Cup and you see Lamine Yamal be a guy that does that, or if he wins a couple Ballon d'Ors and Barcelona ends up fighting back, or if he gets sold to Manchester City when Haaland leaves, et cetera, we could see his value being very, very high. I would not be opposed to putting 5K down on this card right now, because I think that this guy's market is going to be through the roof. So I know it doesn't make sense, but I've got to stick to my guns here. And I'm going to say Lamine Yamal at 4.9K could easily sell for 10. And I am easily going to try to go with the double on one card rather than 12 times the 375. I know probably Paul would disagree with me here, because he would take the 12 300, the 12 10% all day long before you hold a guy for forever. But this could be a card that you could hold forever. So I'm going to go for Lamine Yamal here with the Kaboom. That looks really cool. All right, guys, thanks for being on Lefty Cards with us today. This has been an action-packed 45 minutes. I've got a softball game and a basketball game and several other things to do tonight. I'm going to go be as athletic as possible as I can. So if I'm in if I'm coming into the Sports Card Strategy Show on Wednesday with some massive injury, it's because I've gone and been too athletic tonight when I should have been listening to my 32-year-old body. But I got a massage this morning, so let's just put it at that. I'm prepping myself very well for this. So I'm going to be playing my boy Ivan, which we've talked about quite a bit. And we know that Ivan is really into Japanese player cards. We even called on his information already today as he's in the background here. But we wanted to be able to enjoy that time with them together. Enjoy some time out there before it gets too cold. The winter is approaching, but we always love, as we approach December, sell your cards. It's about to be buying season. Thanks for being on Lefty Cards. Continue to subscribe. Go check out being a premium member at nooffseason.com. We bring a ton of good content for you, and I would love to see you guys later. Peace.
Lefty, great work on today's show. Thanks for supporting Lefty Cards, part of the nooffseason.com sports card network. Get a free 30-day trial today at nooffseason.com to check out our formula-based sports card rankings to help you make money flipping sports cards. Subscribe to Lefty Cards on YouTube and follow us on socials by visiting leftycards.com.